Welcome everybody. We are back to about a 6-month recap since our last financial update for our sports venue over in Melbourne. So this is just an overlay from a bird's eye view of participants playing our activity over in Melbourne. This footage was actually filmed about 5 years ago. So just for people who hadn't seen context, we have a sports venue over in Melbourne where we host combat archery, or also known as arrow tag activities. So all of our customers are given face masks, arrows, bows, and they come with their friends, or they come for a birthday party, or they'll come for a corporate function, and we'll host these activities for them. We have a field which is 23 meters wide by 30 meters long, so a total of about 660 square meters. And it's foam-clad floors, foam-clad walls, just a real safe environment for all sorts of participants. Now, unfortunately, our venue had a pretty severe financial loss during the Melbourne lockdowns, or very severe for me anyway. Our venue costed about $500,000 to set up, and that would have been with a lot of our own labour and skill sets. If we paid other people to do it, quite possibly would have been $1 million build. Not that we had $1 million of cash, but we obviously had to get some loans to fund part of the operation. And what occurred is after about 3 years, we started breaking even, and then unfortunately COVID happened. And in Melbourne, Australia, we had lockdowns. So for about a 2-year period there, we weren't actually able to operate at all. Every time the state would open up, we'd take on some bookings, pay for advertising to get more bookings. Then the state would lock down. I think we had about 6 lockdowns, equating to about 365 days over a 2-year period, which essentially means you shut down 1 in every 2 days. So for us, we accumulated about $150,000 of additional rent debt, and to this day, we still owe about $120,000 to our landlord. So we're starting to pay it down now that we're actually, making profit. So going over our financial results, the last time we would have put together a video would have been back in May 2022. And at that point in time, actually even months prior, I'd resigned from my day job doing IT consulting. So previously I was doing some government work, trying to assist with different financial reports and different programs used for debt recovery. But nonetheless, that's essentially I moved away from my day job because obviously COVID had ended, so that our business had finally been able to run again, and it was time to try and bring it out of this red situation and give us some green numbers back on the board, get us back into a more positive situation. So back in May, when I started this video series and got quite busy at the venue itself, we implemented quite a few changes. So we moved away from doing some Google advertising, because Google advertising for us, no matter who we got to assist us with this, or no matter how much work I put into it, based on how our organic presence is on Google for our website and different key terms, like if I tried to pay for an ad for, say, corporate functions, corporate social bonding, I'd be paying about $8 for a click, very, very expensive. Whereas moving over to Facebook, by pushing out different Facebook videos or videos of our arena and our activity, we're probably getting more towards that 50 cents to $1 per click. So we're getting quite a lot more volume through the website. So that fundamental transition has actually helped us get a greater deal of leads. So you can see, for example, in May, when we were using, this data set isn't the strongest because we only spent, say, $2,000 on Google Ads and got 160 calls. But it's an interesting one, actually, because here, having $3,500 spent on Facebook ads, we still didn't have a lot of arena calls. But what I do find with Facebook is we do get more people taking a look at our website, and there's a little bit of a lag effect. So if we get a higher volume, so say previously we're only having 2,500 people visit, even though this is our website from Victoria, Melbourne, Australia, even though we spent 1,700 and we only had 2,600 people go to the website, if we spent $3,500, we all of a sudden had 7,500. Now they're a different audience. Google customers tend to be more active buyers. They're searching for something. They're more likely to want to book in there and then. But it is much more costly to acquire them. Whereas Facebook for us, and given we're a unique activity, combat archery, arrow tag, it's actually been more advantageous for us to sort of yell on Facebook, this is our content, this is our video, this is what we do, this is who we are, like an awareness campaign. And then people may potentially book with us anywhere between 1 day and a year later. So more commonly, probably like a month to 2 months later. So we have a bit of a delayed effect. So you spend $3,500 in June, we get a lot more traffic. And then all of a sudden, the month after in July, we've had a real high uptick in calls. And these call volumes and these booking volumes and these web form, contact form submissions for us have actually been volumes that have far outweighed our performance even before COVID. So I'm actually finding that I'm hoping we can stick to this trend, because this has obviously now got us to a profitable position that we can start paying back debt. But hopefully this strategy with Facebook ads and also other enhancements that I've been working on will get us into a far stronger position. So we've now managed to amazingly get like our highest sales month in July of 68,000. Not that we received that. That's actually sales booked in. And then at the same time in that month, we had $6,000 of cancellations. So a net sale of 62. And then for that particular month, we did have $50,000 of cash received, and after expenses equated to approximately 8,000. This is at the moment a computed figure because it's like a key performance indicator report. All these statistics here are actually coming through from actual results. But the net profit at the end, I don't have a feed from our accounting platform coming into here to say exact expenses, but it's based on averages. So we have what's called fixed expenses. So we have about $15,000 a month of rent, insurances, internet, different costs that regardless of how many customers come to our venue, we still have these costs. And then we have approximately 50% of sales that goes towards staffing. So if that's the variable portion, so let's say we had $50,000 worth of sales come through, it's very, very commonly that $25,000 of that has to go towards labor or wages, depending on what you call it. So in this instance, now just taking a look at these numbers, I'm trying to see if there's any other interesting facts to draw aside before I move on to what enhancements we've been working on these past 5 months. We've been trying to bring down the cancellation number. For a long time due to COVID, we stopped taking deposits, which meant that sometimes we just have no shows that we've paid for staff to be at our venue and no one's rocked up. Whereas now we're taking a 50% deposit just to make sure people are still committed, and we're still being courteous and allowing people to cancel if they have sickness or some form of reason. We're happy to take that on board and either do a refund or book them in at a later date. Later date obviously helps our business continue to operate. Okay, so moving on to what have we actually been doing these last 5 months. So the main enhancements, I won't go over the maintenance section. I'll just look at the enhancements, things that I've been implementing. I don't know why. That was the very beginning, moving Google Ads to Facebook. Then in June, I actually live in South Australia. Melbourne is where my business is. Used to be because that's where a majority of my family was, and I used to visit a lot, and we had a family partnership over there. Now, what I managed to achieve in my first visit to Melbourne for a week, we installed a Unified Dream Machine Pro, which is a networking solution which allows us to also have door access. So we can now have swipe cards, and potentially considering ideas like VIP 24/7 access for people to access our archery range, our field, partnerships with different businesses perhaps. But that's a slow moving idea that we want to test out over time and not rush into. We've installed UV lights so we can do night game activities, and that's looking awesome. We're starting to get bookings, really good customer feedback there. We're trying to make sure that the field is glowing nicely, getting nice UV spray cans to give good effects. I won't bring up an image right now because I'm just going to fluff around trying to find it. We also, we're covering the ends of our arrows with fluorescent material, cotton material, which makes them look like fireball arrows flying across the field. We've built new arcade machines. Our previous arcade machines in our function area, so it was like a bay of 12 players across 3 different screens playing archery games in like a 2D platformer, something called Towerfall. And we're finding that the kids, not their fault, it's just the way it is, were effectively breaking the old arcade setup. It was like acrylic, these like pre-made acrylic joystick setups, and the acrylic was just too weak essentially. So my vision is always to try and make things unbreakable. So we've ended up doing a massive installation. Once again, I'm missing. Trying to think if I've got an easy, quick way to get these images. Should have got this prepared before, but let's see if I can open up our CCTV camera while looking over the next ones. So yeah, we added new arcade joysticks and fixed up some of the machines. So just providing better customer experience essentially. So these kind of enhancements will assist in some new customers coming through for things like UV games, nighttime archery, playing in the dark. New arcades is sort of just better for return customer value. When people do actually attend our venue, we have a 4.8 star rating, and I'm hoping to keep that at that or go higher. That's after about 350 Google reviews. So that's a good indicator that we should have repeat customers because we are providing a desirable service. We've installed Wi-Fi switches. So this is something for me to assist staff. So these Wi-Fi switches allow them to turn off different sets of lights just by coming into the venue. We can have automatic turn off as well. So make sure all our lights auto turn off if people have forgotten to turn them off. So this is like a single button, turn off all venue lights, and then a single button, turn on UV lighting, rather than them going around clicking switches here, there, everywhere. We've installed a new CCTV machine that's just allowing us to do live streaming at some point in the future on our cameras. Also that we can record footage for customers, and then also that we just have smoother experience with our CCTV footage. Our last PC was overloaded and just crashing and not ideal. We've moved an unused car for mobile purposes. We used to do bookings outdoors. We had 2 cars. We very rarely used 2. So we've just downsized to 1. Now we have an extra car space for customers. And then we've also implemented digital waivers. So rather than customers signing on pieces of paper, we now have iPads that they can sign off on. And it allows us to also collect details from customers if they so desire for us to send them future offers. If they provide us an email and they're happy and they tick the box saying, yes, I'm happy to receive marketing offers, then we can simply shoot out updates, once every quarter or so. I personally hate junk mail, so I don't envision that we're going to be spamming anyone. And everything else is mostly maintenance related. I wouldn't say it's big enhancements that, get rid of this. Projectors, looking into a digital archery range solution. Task list. Yeah, and then we've got a whole bunch of ideas that we're planning to work on in the future. I do need to keep in mind that I do need to pay the bills, so I'm probably going to go back into doing some IT consulting part-time because our cash has been sort of dwindling. Even though we've been making profit, that profit margin is actually going off to pay down our $150,000 of rental debt. So these green numbers, I'm sort of expecting, if we make $10,000 in a given month, unfortunately that's all going straight to the landlord, and that's because we owe the landlord that money. It's just the way it is. It means I won't be seeing any of that. So I'm expecting this Melbourne business to not actually earn me as an owner any money for at least the next 2 years, unless we are beyond successful. So other things that are in the pipeline that let's filter out and go to the to-do list. Enhancements. Looking at giving away some discount cards to go to all the kids that attend so they can potentially have their birthday party. So whilst they might already come back for a birthday party, just trying to, I guess, reinforce that message by giving them a nice little discount card. The idea is to give packs of 10 Pokemon cards because I have over 1 million that I've managed to accumulate through a little side Pokemon business that I've been running. So the intent is to make these little 10 card packages. And also one of those cards is going to be like a Pokemon-inspired Archery Attack Arena card that has special abilities saying come back with friends and get 2 extra friends for free to come to your party, or $50 off you, some sort of benefit essentially. So that's something in the pipeline. Then also trying to work on a video that is fully tailored towards advertising. Tailored towards corporate businesses or just general businesses. So for business bonding, corporate bonding, just to allow all those businesses who are trying to find different activities to do with their staff, because a lot of staff are working from home. It's just a bonding experience. So we're trying to make our venue, our venue actually caters towards those groups very well. We've had groups of 150 come through, but the thing is we just don't make it very known how cheap we can do it for such a large group, and also how safe and inclusive our activity actually is. Our videos don't really portray that for businesses. That's something I need to work on in my next video edit effort, and then put Facebook advertising behind that to express that message across the all of Victoria, hopefully. So the key benefits with our field is we have foam clad floors with 40mm thick EVA foam, and then we have 30mm EVA foam all the way around the field. So rather than running into a concrete wall, you're running into foam essentially. And then we've got nets on one side, so arrows can't get out of the field. It's impossible. So no spectators can be fired at. Then in regards to from an inclusion perspective, if not every single colleague of yours is willing to play on the field and fire arrows at one another, it's not incredibly painful by any means. But if they aren't comfortable with that concept, we also have an archery range. And that's where I'm also working on a digital archery range concept as well. So that's something that will come in the future. But essentially, in the meantime, we've got function areas, seating areas, people can bring out BYO food, drinks, what have you. And our archery range allows people to keep entertained, or they can spectate. It's just a very inclusive venue that there's always something for someone to do. And then we are now shifting focus to try and even enrich that experience more. So yes, we have the arcades that people can play on if they have games, or want to play with some colleagues from some of our archery games. But then we've also got the actual physical bow archery range that we're looking to convert from a physical experience to a quasi-physical / digital experience, where you're essentially shooting at projector screens, and those projector screens portraying a game, and they're sensing your arrows that come through at them. So I've put up some videos, I believe, on YouTube. In our YouTube short section, you can see some samples of how that might look. But yeah, look, so this is the update. Business is going much better than ever. Unfortunately, it's not enough to give me an income. So I've probably gone incomeless for nearly 6 months now. So it's time I sort of shift focus from 100% business to 40% business and 60% just getting some reliable income again. But the thing is, the business is now paying for itself, and I'm no longer having to go work a full-time job to pay off, these monthly losses or accumulate monthly debt because we can't pay for rent. Like our landlord didn't see rent from us for, almost a whole 12-month period, maybe even longer during COVID. But look, that's it. Thanks for your time. See you guys in the next one. Feel free to send through any questions.